as a recruiter. I never had time.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Effective Resume Thursdays. I'm wearing a face mask because I'm currently at Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport, getting ready to fly out in about an hour. So I'll only be with you for the first half of this presentation today. It is May 6, 2021. Let's see here. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, and if you happen to post a comment in the chat box or have your microphone or camera on, you give consent for your comment, name, and picture to appear. We ask for those people who are on Zoom to please use the speaker view, which is in the lower left-hand corner. Have your participant box open because Carol likes to use the chat box open because she'll be asking lots of questions and it'll be very advantageous for you. And where that red arrow is between the picture, between Carol's picture and the slide, you can drag that back and forth to make the screen as big or as small as you'd like. Change that ratio. For those people on Zoom, if you will, please just use the chat box, enter a question as soon as you think about it. That way, as Carol takes a break, she'll answer those questions for you. And for those people on Facebook, please just enter your questions into the comment field. We are monitoring that feed. Do you have any resumes yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. All right. Well, we will review 1 or 2 resumes today, probably just one. You're welcome to submit your resume via the chat box. If you want to, please delete your header information because that way we don't want to see. Oh, you got one. Okay.
I got one.
We got one. We'll move on here. All righty. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Back in 2008, I started careerdfw.org to help those who are unemployed in Dallas-Fort Worth area. In 2012, I started a website called careerusa.org to help people outside the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I've written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. It's available on Amazon. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. The group's been around since the late 1990s, and at the end of the session, Carol will tell you about our upcoming programming tomorrow. And I've been a member of the practice interview team along with Carol since 2017. At the end of this session, we're going to be giving away 2 people will be able to win a 1-month use of unlimited use of jobscan.co. This will be for the month of June. So just note that for the month of June, it'll have to carry over for a few weeks. They only change them every month. All right, our speaker today is Carol Brickell. She's a certified professional career coach. So Carol, thank you for being with us and I'll let you take it away.
Okay, great. And thank you, Jeff, for the introduction and for going above and beyond and doing this from the airport. That's amazing. So I really, really do appreciate it. And thank you to those who have sent in resumes in chat. I received one that we'll be able to look at, and I've received a second one. We may have time for that one. And if not, if you have a quick question, urgent question, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn afterwards. And there was a third person that tried to send a resume and it didn't work. And sometimes chat is funny about that. You may have to put it in a PDF format to be able to send it in chat. If there's any live links in it, that might be, but we probably won't have time to get to it. So if you have any urgent questions, I can respond to a couple urgent questions on LinkedIn if needed. So what I will do right now is share my screen. And get into presentation mode. And definitely want to welcome everyone and welcome to people who've attended one of these sessions before. We have people that come back occasionally because we always bring in new content and we try to keep it fresh with new content. And then there's some basic information that we do kind of review every time, but we always put a new spin on it and there are always new questions. And then we have sample resumes that we go through and those offer additional teaching points. So once again, thank you for joining us. We've designed this to be very informative, fun, fast-paced, interactive. I told Jeff this is the fastest hour of the week for me. So I apologize if I talk quick because we have a lot of content and I highly recommend, and I give you permission, place your phone aside put it aside. Now, if you get a call from a hiring manager with a job offer, you can take that, or a recruiter calling you, but try to put it aside and just put your focus into the session and just really enjoy it and have fun with it. I give you permission to put that phone away. So I'm trying to practice that myself, not trying to multitask, because the brain actually doesn't multitask very well. It just focuses on one thing and switches back and forth. And as Jeff mentioned, we've designed this to be fun and interactive. So go ahead, you can open up the participant box and see who's out there. And then also we'll be using the chat function. And so click on the chat box and open it up. And to get us warmed up using chat, here's a question for you. Do you think it's a good idea to include a photo on your resume? Go ahead and type yes, no, or if you have any comments about that, go ahead and put that into chat. Good. And I see people are networking. That's great to use this as an opportunity to network. If you want to share your name, job title you're looking for, and a couple target companies, and watch for those, all of you participants. If you see anybody who's wanting to get into a target company or you can help them, know people, please reach out to that person. And then somebody responded regarding the question about the photo. No way. And I'll explain a couple reasons why, because we all kind of heard that, don't do it, but I did some additional research and talked to an employment law attorney about that. So I have the reasoning behind that. And also there's some technical reasoning as well. And I'll be sharing lots of ideas about resumes, and your job is to listen to all the different ideas and apply what works best for you. And if some ideas don't work for you, that's fine too. I'll just be sharing a lot of ideas from my perspective based on my experience. And my experience is I do have over 30 years of experience as a hiring manager, where I was trained on doing behavioral interviews, and I served as a mentor and a teacher to other hiring managers about how to interview. And then I retired from an IT firm. I retired from EDS HP in 2012 and took a job as a recruiter. And I got 6 wonderful years of experience, both in agency and corporate environments. And I've placed candidates in a variety of different roles, accounting, HR, and a variety of different roles. And like Jeff, I've been a volunteer for the Dallas Pit Crew, and we've posted some information about the Dallas Pit Crew in chat. That's the organization. I highly recommend, if you're working on your resume, you should also work on practicing your interview skills. A lot of people don't spend the time practicing what they're saying out loud. And it's important to do that. And you can do that with the practice interview team. That's the Pit Crew. Just send an email with your resume and a sample or target job description, and we'll set you up with a panel interview. And then also I've been certified by the Professional Association of Resume Writers and Career Coaches. And I keep close in touch with my buddies in recruiting, especially Next Step Recruiting, where I retired from in 2019. And they are always looking for good HR people, accounting, finance people, sometimes procurement, project management. If you don't have a great recruiter working for you and presenting you to hiring managers, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, and I can get you connected with a great recruiter. So I highly recommend that, to have that as one option in your job search strategy. Looking to see how many people we've got. Got quite a few people on Facebook Live and in Zoom. So welcome everyone. And this is our agenda today. It's a 2-part agenda where we will be covering information about applicant tracking systems. And I'll share a couple of quotes with you with background information about not using photos on your resume. And then also we'll talk about one-page bios as an alternative, talk about the concept of master resumes, and then we'll review some key components of a resume and look at one or two of those samples that you all have nicely sent me today. And to get started, since we're talking about pictures on resumes, I thought this was a cute cartoon. The guy says, hey, great resume. It has pictures all over it. And we're saying not to use pictures on resumes, and I'll explain why. But I thought that was kind of cute. First thing I'll do is talk about applicant tracking systems. If you know the name of one of these systems, this is when you apply online for a job. If you know the name of one of these systems, go ahead and type it into chat. This is when you apply online. These are the systems that read the data in your resume and parse the data, take it out and they put it in the database. So they have your name, phone number, job titles, and those types of things. And yes, people are typing in the names of the biggest ATS systems, like Workday has an ATS component. Taleo has been around forever. iSIMS, ADT. Okay, didn't know about that one. And Taleo's been around forever. And you'll hear a lot of conflicting information about these systems because they do work differently and each company can install them differently. So you may hear conflicting information, but basically, big picture in general, don't use a lot of special characters like boxes, tables. Don't put your contact information in the header in Microsoft Word because it may not read it correctly. But you do want to ensure the key words in your resume align to the words and the language in the job description. And the tool that Jeff mentioned, and we're going to do a giveaway at the end of the session today. The tool jobscan.co is a great tool to compare your resume to a job description to see if you're a good match. Then often applicant tracking systems will give you the opportunity to upload a resume as an attachment. And that's the version the recruiter will be looking at and sending to the hiring manager. So that one you may want to put in PDF format so it protects the integrity of the formatting. Now the one that you upload to be parsed, you want that in native MS Word or in a text file version, make it easy for the system to read it. But the attachment, you may want to put in a PDF so it looks the way you want it to look. If they ask for a cover letter, it's a good idea to do it. As a recruiter, honestly, and all my recruiter buddies, we joke about it. We don't have time to look at them, but there have been some studies that say that some hiring managers do look at those. So it's a good idea to go ahead and answer the mail, send them a cover letter. Just don't spend a lot of time on it. We have a good, simple template for you. And be sure in the cover letter to say why you're interested in that company. They like to see that in the cover letter. There's not really a place to put that on your resume, but you can put that in the cover letter. And I have a sentence in the sample as a prompt to remind you about that. As Jeff mentioned, if you have any questions or comments along the way, feel free to enter those into chat and I'm monitoring it on my second monitor. Okay, and regarding these ATS systems, since there's so many different systems and they all work differently, just keep the big picture in mind. Upload a resume that doesn't have any special formatting, special bullets, boxes. And if you have the opportunity then to review the information once it gets uploaded to make sure it's clean, that's a good idea. And then the most important thing is don't rely on just the system. Because if you just upload your system, apply online and sit back and wait for a call, there's only a 2% chance you'll get called for an interview. I can attest to that. I've read that that's the statistic and I can attest to that as a recruiter. So you need to contact a person to let them know that you meet the requirements for the job. It's kind of the secret password. I meet the job requirements. So when I say contact a person, what I mean is if you know somebody at the company, a first or second level connection, reach out to them and let them know that you've just applied for this job and you meet the requirements and your resume is attached, and ask them if they could send it to the recruiting organization. Or if you know the name of the recruiter who posted the job, reach out to them, either phone call, LinkedIn, email message if you know their email. We've included a sample cover letter in the chat. Or if you don't know the name of the recruiter, I wouldn't recommend just calling any recruiter because most recruiters are underwater, struggling to meet their targets. They might be working on different jobs. I'd go a step up to a recruiting leader, reach out to them, and they can get you to the right recruiter, or they may want to go ahead and talk to you. And let them know you applied for the job, you wanted to introduce yourself because you meet the requirements. Those are golden words to a recruiter. So this discussion about pictures on resumes, I reached out to an attorney that I worked with when I was doing corporate recruiting, and he specializes in employment law. And he very graciously gave me his personal quote about why not to put a photo on a resume. And what he says is placing a photo on a resume submitted for a job application creates problems for the potential employer because it draws direct visual attentions to one's characteristics, which the employer is not allowed to consider in its hiring positions. And I've actually seen hiring managers throw away resumes that have pictures on them because they don't want to be caught up in a potential bias or potential employment lawsuit. So that's a reason from a legal perspective. Also, ATS systems might not be able to read your resume if they encounter any special characters or special pictures in your resume. And then also there's a good article, if you Google, should you include a photo in your resume or photo and resume, you'll find this article from Balance Careers. And here's a couple of quotes from there, or several quotes from their article. The traditional advice regarding placing photos has been an emphatic no. Many employers are eager to avoid unconscious bias in their recruitment strategies, and including a photo can make that quest to have a bias-free recruitment process more challenging. And the article goes on to say there are other places where you can put a photo. And somebody sent me a note privately, that's the reason they don't put a picture in LinkedIn. Okay, however, LinkedIn is a social networking platform, kind of like Facebook. It's a professional networking platform, and it's actually standard to have a photo in LinkedIn. So it's actually common and actually okay to have it in LinkedIn. And it's also common to put on a one-page bio that we'll be talking about in a moment. Or some people put it on their business card. Now I didn't, but some people can. So those are okay from an employment law perspective because those are social networking types of tools. And that's different than a job application document. So, but it is a personal choice. So, okay. So now we'll talk about the difference between resumes and one-page bios. If any of you out there have a one-page bio and you've been using it, if you could type a note in chat regarding how you've used it or where it's been beneficial, that would be great. And we've posted a sample one-page executive bio in chat. And a resume really signals you're looking for a job. So if you're networking and you're reaching out to somebody with just for an informational interview and you're looking for advice, and you send them a resume, that might make them nervous. They may say, well, I don't really want to meet with you because I don't have a job opening. But if you just send a bio, that's a higher level document that really just introduces you and explains your background, and it may have your picture on it, so it's more of a social networking document. So it can be used in a variety of situations and not put the person you're networking with on guard. And then, a resume really focuses on your work history and details and credentials, and it is a job search tool, whereas a bio can be used as a multi-purpose tool. And then, yes, and then a private comment on a private comment that a company may see your resume and then they'll look on LinkedIn and they'll look on Facebook. They will just Google your name and try to see if they find any pictures about you out there. So that's why you want to make sure your social media presence is professional looking as well. So they will see your photo. So that could be considered bias. So some people just don't put their pictures out there anywhere, and that's a personal choice. And include when applying for some jobs on LinkedIn. So include photos, okay. When you're applying for a job on LinkedIn and you're submitting your resume as a job application document, I would still advise against including your photo on that resume document. I'm reading your question correct on that, or your comment correctly. I would advise against that. And then we've included a sample one-page bio template in the chat. So you're welcome to use this. This is a very simple one-page, just for background noise, I'm just muting the phones real quick. This is a very simple Microsoft Word template. I'd looked online for a good template and I couldn't find one that was easy to update or looked good and provided a lot of good information on one page. But one of my clients had this version with this format. So I asked him if he could borrow his template. He said, sure. He'd gotten good feedback about it. So I borrowed his template and I just plugged my name, my information in it. And so this is a one-page bio you can use when you're reaching out to somebody at maybe one of your target companies and you want to get their advice about your career. You can just send them this document, and it has a few key words about your skills, short paragraph about your background, your professional biography, just main companies and dates, education, certifications, contact information, and then a few statements about key accomplishments. And those you want to have quantifiable accomplishments if you have those. So good. Good discussion about photos. And there are some personal considerations, you know, so great discussion there. Good. And Jeff, are you in a place where you can talk about master resume for just a minute? And if not,
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, well, we're good. For those who tuned in a little bit late, I'm at DFW Airport getting ready to fly out in about an hour. So that's why I look like this. I don't normally you all don't infect me, so I don't normally wear a mask. The master resume. What you really want to do is, it'd be nice to put everything you've ever done on a resume with 8 or 10 bullet points for every job, all your jobs since high school, and in school include a high school job if it was a co-op or something that really relates to what you do. And the reason for this is that when you then see a job description, you can take your master resume and eliminate everything that's not important. You want to make sure that when you submit a resume, that it is exactly what the recruiter wants to see and make it easy for them. You know, I talked to somebody a week or two ago about, oh, I had a resume writer and they said, never change my resume, make all the comments, whatever you want to talk about, put that in the cover letter. That is wrong, wrong, wrong. If you want to make it easy for the recruiter, only tell them what they need to see. So if you have a master resume, you will never have to go, well, you know, I think I did that back in 1990 or something. You don't have to think about it because you've already got it all written down. So make it easy on the recruiter, make it easy on yourself.
Thank you, Jeff. That's a perfect comment. And those 6 years that I walked a mile in those recruiter shoes were really valuable for me, so I could really feel what that felt like. And I would get frustrated when I'd get a resume that looked like a standard resume, and then the cover letter explained why they were a good match for the job. I didn't like being told to go to another document to try to figure out and put the puzzle together. And most of the time I didn't have time to look at the cover letters, because remember, as a recruiter, we would post a job. We would often get and this was several years ago, we'd often get 200 to 300 people applying for that position. Now the number is even higher than that. I might just have time to look at the top 20 candidates, and I would go down the list and just click on the resume. So I didn't have time to try to piece it together and look at a second document. So you want that resume you use for that job to be targeted to the job. And I am finding that more and more of my clients, in fact, yesterday I was talking to a wonderful client who has a master resume with all his publications, certifications, all the information, but then he has a targeted resume that he uses for jobs that he's applying to. And that's the one we're really fine tuning right now. So, so this concept of a master resume can make it easy for you to have all the information that you can use when you're customizing these resumes for these jobs you're applying to. So yeah, make it easy on your recruiting friends. Good. And if anybody has any comments about that, please add them into chat. And then also somebody says they have an additional document that's part of their resume, breaks down each employer by industry type. That might be something good to have in your hip pocket if that's something they asked for, or if that's something interesting to them, or if you're looking to go to maybe a big four accounting firm where they want to see where you've spent time in different industries. Now, if you're just interviewing for a manufacturing company, they're just going to want to talk about that probably. So yeah, it's good to have different tools in your hip pocket in case they ask for those. Good. We've also shared a sample resume template in chat. You're welcome to leverage that as you see fit as well. And now we'll talk through characteristics of good resumes. Your overall goal is to make it easy. Make it easy for that ATS system to see you're a good match to the job description. And those systems are just reading the characters. They're just reading the text to see if you line up with some of the key keywords. And you also want to make it easy for the screeners, like the recruiters and the hiring managers, to within a few seconds look at your resume and go, yeah, that's the type of person we're looking for. And they literally spend about 7.4 seconds looking at some of the keywords in the opening description, look at the dates of your jobs and longevity, look at your education to see if you're a good match. They're just scanning really quickly. So you want your formatting to be very clean in your resume, lots of white space, overall length. Sweet spot when I talk to recruiters is about 2 pages. Now in today's technology where most things are online, if it goes onto a 3rd page, if needed, that can be okay. And some jobs like highly technical jobs or government, higher education, longer is okay as well. And then for number of years of experience, this is kind of a personal choice. And there are really 3 different options. So those in on Facebook Live, you can type in a comment, A, B, or C, and then those on Zoom, type in A, B, or C regarding which option you use for your resume. Do you show all of your experience? That's option A, all of your experience. B, just the most recent 10 to 15 years. Or C, do you show details about the most recent 10 to 15 years, but then have an additional section called prior relevant experience, where you list the company names and your job titles, and you can include dates or not for that section. Okay, good. And yeah, we're getting a combination. It's a very personal choice. Funny thing about me is when I was applying for a job at the age of 59 and I was networking with people that knew me and they knew I'd worked at EDS forever, I showed all my experience, but I was networking with people that knew me and I got the job because I was really passionate about the type of recruiting work I was doing. And I asked the guy during the interview, what do you need help with? I said, I can help with that. This is what I would do. And got the job. So option A worked for me, but I don't know if I'd recommend it for everyone. Option B, I saw that a lot when I was a recruiter. However, it often caused confusion because when I was doing screening interviews, and if I asked a question like, tell me about a large global project you managed. If they said, well, when I was at IBM, I managed this big global project, and I would not be able to listen to them very well because I was trying to find it on the resume and I couldn't find it. I'd say, I don't see that on your resume. And they'd say, oh, I didn't include that. That was so long ago. That it just caused confusion. And the hiring manager felt like they weren't seeing the full story and seeing really the full picture of the career. So I found hiring managers actually preferred option C. So that's why the template we're providing is option C. So that's just my story from my perspective, and it's kind of a personal choice on that. Okay, key components of a resume that we'll be talking about today. These are the key components. You might have additional components like for highly technical jobs, maybe certifications, publications, presentations you've given, white papers or whatever. Okay, so starting with the heading, I've added something new. For your name at the top of your resume, use the name you like to be called. For example, my husband's legal name is Joel Edward Brickell, but in business, he's called Ed Brickell. He wants to keep it simple. If you were looking for a job, he'd want to make it simple for a recruiter to remember him and use the name he goes by. So on his resume, he would put Ed Brickell. On LinkedIn, he'd put Ed Brickell. So use the name you like to be called to make it memorable, make it easy for your recruiter. And in the contact information, your email should be related to your name. So it's easy for them to find it in their pile of emails. So my email is brickell.carol@yahoo.com rather than something silly like Carol likes kitty cats or something like that. Make it related to your name spelled out so they can find you easily. And so it looks like a professional email. And then no physical street address. And then also recruiters like to see your LinkedIn URL. And I've been told that Workday gets thrown into a frenzy if you use hot links on your resume. So just put it as text, the LinkedIn URL on your email. Yeah, I talked to a consultant at Workday about that one. You hear different things about various systems and whether you can use a hot link in your resume or not. So I would err on the side of just putting it in as text. Okay. And then your summary section is very important, and recommend if you're a business analyst, applying for a business analyst role, put that front and center. If you're applying for a slightly different role than what you've had, you may have to finesse it a little bit. Like if you're a HR or business partner, but you're applying for an HR director role, but you meet the requirements, I would put an HR leader or something like that. Don't say director if you haven't been one, but put that front and center. And I do like to see an opening as a recruiter. Most of my recruiting buddies and I like to see just a very brief opening statement or two. And we may just read the first 6 or 7 words, but that just makes your resume appear complete. And then have your areas of expertise with keywords that you have, key skills. And yeah, the first few words in this opening sentence are very important. You basically want to describe yourself as a professional as it relates to the job description. And sometimes you can put in a few key words that may not make sense under the areas of expertise. So those are a couple of reasons I like to do that. Some people say you can leave that off, that opening 3 lines there. I just find it makes it look like a resume is rather abrupt to just go to the bullet points. That's my perspective. So, okay. And then somebody said they have 3 different roles that they could perform. IT roles, do you customize for each job? Yes. And you might find, like if you're a business analyst, you might have one that's a business analyst resume, and you might have one that's solution architect, and you might, that focuses on your solution architect skills, or you might have Java programmer or something, and then one that focuses on that. So you might end up with like 3 kind of templates that you just slightly tweak for the jobs that you're applying for. Great question there. Good. Okay, good. And then key accomplishments. You can also have the, underneath your areas of expertise. This is optional. And I see this most often used for sales or business development or recruiting or sometimes financial types of roles when you need to show a track record of achieving especially financial targets year over year. So this could be an optional section. And then your professional experience section, reverse chronological order. Hiring managers prefer seeing that versus functional resumes, which kind of look like they're masking something. They like to see the real story about your career. Use parallel verbs. For example, what I mean by that, a job in the past, all of the verbs should end in ED. They should all be in the past tense. Many times I see resumes where the verbs end in ing, s, ed, a variety of things. Make them parallel, please. And then we've heard lots of advice from other recruiters and recruiting leaders to include a 1-line description of the company, especially with the industry name. That helps the recruiter get to know what type of industry you've worked in. And then limit the number of bullets per job. I've heard anywhere 3, 4, 5, 6 bullets, no more than that, because the recruiter won't read more than that. Remember, they're just scanning your resume. They may just even read the first 4 or 5 words in each bullet. And focus on results in your resume. You don't want it to read totally like just a list of tasks. And for example, this 3rd bullet from the bottom where you reduce data migration time, and this came from an actual resume. Originally, that bullet said he wrote Visual Basic programs. But I asked him, so what was the result? So what? What was the result? And he goes, well, it reduced the data migration time and increased stakeholder confidence. So I said, put that on your resume. That's the result. And that's a stronger verb. So he rewrote that bullet point there. So you can go down your resume and play that so what game. And then if you've had multiple roles in a company, I highly recommend this format because otherwise you might look like a job hopper if you justify all the dates. So put the length of time you're at the company And then for each role that you had, put those dates in parentheses up next to the job titles. Otherwise, if all those dates are over to the right, it looks visually like you've been hopping around. Okay. And then be sure to include education. Let's see. Oh, somebody asked me a question. Worked at the same place, but a position in between. Put it chronologically. And you worked at that place from those dates. Then you worked at another company, those dates. And then you work back at that place and those dates. And it's great if the name of the company is the same. That tells a positive story. I like to see those because that means that they liked you and they wanted you back. So as a recruiter, I like to see that. So don't be afraid of that. So include your education, software skills, especially software that's required in the job description. Be sure to include those. And if you don't have a degree, write something like this: the school, city, state, and maybe the area of concentration or the major, or maybe the number of course hours. Don't say bachelor's if you don't have a bachelor degree. And then for every job, I highly recommend taking a few minutes, and I'm going to turn on annotation. Let's see, annotate. On the left, I have a job description. I highly recommend taking a few moments and studying the job description. Look at the skills in the lower part of the job description, which is usually, here are the requirements or qualifications we're looking for. Here's what you bring to the job. Look for the qualifications. If they're looking for Agile and Scrum, hopefully you've got that background. And if so, put it front and center. You've got those skills. If they're looking for software like Visual Studio, and you've got that, put it there. Finance knowledge, list that there. And then also look at the description of what they're looking for. Get an idea of the heart of the job. What do they really want you to be able to do? They want you to be able to document business requirements, put that front and center. And if you're a business analyst, put that front and center. Okay, and if you're doing a career transition and you're not sure what to put at the top of your resume, if you haven't really been a business analyst but want to become that, you might want to talk to a recruiter or career coach about how to best do that so that you're honest, but also showing that you match the job requirements. Okay, so now at this time, what I'm going to do is share my screen, and I'm going to share those sample resumes that people have submitted. And we may have time to look at two. Okay, let me share. Good. So if you can give me a thumbs up, and I can see Diane and Jason. Okay, thank you. Good, thank you. Usually I have Jeff give me a thumbs up, but I think he had to sign off. And give me a thumbs up if you can still hear me okay too. I want to just double check technology. Okay, great. Okay, good. Because Jeff's always my technology check. Good. So what I'm going to do, let's see, expand this a little bit. I'm going to scroll down this resume, and I'd like for you and the audience to look at this. And if you see any things that you like about the resume, go ahead and type in some compliments in the chat box. If you see anything you'd recommend changing or improving, feel free to type those in as well. And so I'm going to scroll down this just like a recruiter would be scanning a resume. Okay, we've got an opening summary section. We've got areas of expertise. We've got career highlights, professional experience, goal. Cool. I love the way the dates are formatted. I'll go ahead and make that. Yeah, it shows the whole time you're at the company and the dates for each role. Perfect. Well, you've done that. Good. Oh, for a long time. That shows really great longevity. And then education with your Bachelor in Science. Okay. Instead of extracurricular, I would say volunteer leadership, because you're an executive board member. Okay, good. Suggest eliminating one word on a line. Eliminating one line. I'm not sure what that means, but okay. Possibly. Under like the career highlights, a recruiter is never going to read this much text. This is a blur of words. So I would just make this one line, a one-liner, and really focus. Maybe it goes on to 2 lines, but focus on the headline. The fact that you oversaw program evaluations. I'm not sure if that's the so what. What was the outcome? What was the result? What was the accomplishment? I mean, that's a lot of programs. That's cool. But what was the result? So maybe talk to a career coach or a recruiter about that one. North America Coordinator for All Research. That sounds like a task. What was the result of all that research and development? Development implemented evaluation. Okay, that's kind of a neat task. But again, what was the result? Improve productivity or something like that. Okay. Oh, software. Somebody mentioned you should add software. Yeah, definitely. And then somebody said upper case. Let's see, like skills. Yeah, skills are lowercase. Those need to be uppercase. I'm one of those people, I would put retail merchandising, uppercase, both words, retail merchandising. Some people would just do initial cap, retail merchandising. I think both are okay as long as you're consistent. Sales support, I'd make those both uppercase. Yeah, just training and development, good skills. And then these skills you'll modify based on the jobs you apply to. If banana program management is not important, you won't put that first. If sales support is critical, that's what you would put first. And if produce packaging is like the number 2 job skill, you might put that on top. So depending on the importance of the skills and the job you're applying for, you'll move around this. Okay. Agile is very sought after skill. Can you highlight that more? I would if it's a requirement in the job description. Will table format for areas of expertise make it through the ATS? Maybe not. It may not. So I recommend just tabbing over, maybe indenting and tabbing over, and potentially putting these in the center, just center the titles. Okay. Areas of expertise should be tabs, not a table, correct. Because otherwise it won't make it through ATS. So too much text here, too much text here. And I would just have a one-liner about Dole, but everybody knows what Dole is. I've even been to one of their pineapple plantations in Honduras. So I've written a children's book, if you Google my name, about that, about Honduras. Okay. I love Dole. Manager, insured, scheduled. A little bit too much text. These bullet points should be 1 or 2 lines at the most. Looks like a spacing error there. There's like 3 spaces. You were probably trying to keep from widows. It's called a widow or an orphan when you just have one bullet on one page that goes on to the next page. So it looked like a spacing issue there. Let's see. But great resume. And this opening, if you're applying for, let's say you're applying for a quality assurance manager job, I would put quality assurance manager, you know, if you've done that role. I'd put that instead of career profile. And I would make this 2 or 3 lines at the most, because they're not going to read the full 5 lines there. So good job just tweaking a little bit. And then play the so what game. Oversaw travel and department budgets. So what? What was the impact you made? What was the budget? Ensured that the travel budget was kept within budget by implementing blah, blah, blah processes or something. Yeah. Okay. So hopefully that's helpful. And I've got a couple of minutes to look at that second resume that was submitted. If I can find it. Okay. Y'all been a great audience so far. Great audience. Okay. I'm saying so far about me and my ability to share screens. Okay. New share. Okay. New share. Hopefully you can see it. Jason, if you can give me a thumbs up if you can see this new resume. Thank you. I can see your image there. Okay, thank you for being my person there. Okay, good. Good. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna, we've got just a couple minutes on this one. I'm gonna go down this Director, Enterprise Sales. That's great to put a title there, especially if it aligns to the title that you're aligning to. Okay. And then career highlights, professional experience. Okay. And previous work experience. Yeah, I would say previous professional experience or previous relevant experience. Work experience sounds a little more low level for the types of roles that you're looking for. Professional associations, education, technical summary, and that's really software skills. Either one is fine. Okay. Any comments from the audience on this? Somebody thanked me for the review. Thank you. You're welcome. Glad to do this. People enjoy getting the real live resume review. And thank you for sharing your resume. Yeah, the blue bar. Sometimes I hear that might make it through an ATS. I don't think it's needed, and visually, I don't know if it really helps. So I guess spot check it, you know, when you're applying for a job online, and if you have the opportunity, like with Workday, they give you the opportunity to review your data to make sure it got parsed okay, to make sure that the line or this shaded border thing with the didn't got read okay. So I would be careful about that. I would tend to just make these like career highlights. I would make it a bold header, centered, and take out the line, but that's what I would do. Okay. And this opening paragraph, that's too much text. And I would make it just 3 lines with the most critical words based on what the job you're applying for is really looking for. And career highlights, this is too much text. So you could keep this format. I would just get it down to maybe 2 lines at the most for each one of these. And those are good. I like the wording though. Sales cycle management, proven expertise in sales cycle, multiple verticals, sales strategy, sales leadership, project management. I'd like to see a little more results, like accomplishments in terms of, like, did you meet your targets year over year? Especially if that's important in the jobs you're looking for. So these career highlights, you may customize them based on what they're looking for. Okay. And the dates, I would justify the dates, because as I mentioned, recruiters are just scanning resumes. And so typically I see the company name, comma, location, and then justify the dates and not have that pipe thing there. Some people kind of react to that. They feel like they hit a wall. And when I'm reading something and I see the pipe, it's like, I feel like I hit a wall. So, and I've heard other people say that. That's just a very personal thing. And we all share our perspectives just from a personal perspective. But recruiters do look at the dates and they scan them, and they usually look for them on the right. So I would justify those. Verb tenses in the career highlights. Okay. Now these are written in the present tense. Yeah. I guess since it's talking about yourself in your entirety, you might do it in the present tense, I think. Because if it were in the past tense, I don't know. I could go either way on that. If anybody has an opinion about which tense you should use in career highlights. Because you still do these things. You still can cultivate relationships and you can lead. Yeah, interesting. But in the jobs that are in the past, you've done exactly right. You have put them all in the past tense. Okay. And I like with your previous experience, you left off the dates, and that's absolutely fine. Okay. All right. Somebody wrote present, question mark. Yeah, for the present tense for those career highlights. So good job. It's a very nice, clean resume. Somebody said grammatically, opinion, maybe past tense. Somebody said present tense, so it could go either way. Maybe ask your recruiting buddies if you're working for any recruiters. So, okay. Okay, very good, very good. All right, now what I'm going to do is share the last part of the presentation and go through Jeff's final slides, including the giveaway.
I'm actually back.
You're back. Are you kidding? So you haven't boarded your plane yet? Okay.
No, I have a few minutes yet.
Okay, so I am sharing. This is how you find me on LinkedIn. Would you like to talk now, Jeff?
Well, if anybody would like to get a sample T cover letter or the resume that we showed or the bio, please just send a resume, send an email to resume@careerdfw.org. And I'll get that to you. It probably will be next Monday before I get that to you. Career DFW and Career USA, we're putting on training 5 days a week. So join us, grab your lunch and learn every day at 1 o'clock Central Time. Tomorrow morning at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group, we're going to have open forum. So we'll talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. So bring your questions and we'll just have everybody who's online help answer your questions for you. At 1 o'clock, Women of Wisdom will be meeting. They meet the first and third Fridays of the month. If you're a woman and you have wisdom or would like some wisdom, please join them. To do that, you do need to send an email to wow@careerdfw.org. It is by invitation only because they're trying to keep it down to 20 or 25 people because there's a lot of discussion. And if it gets to 40 or 50, it becomes too many. On Monday, for Networking Mondays, Networking to Network. Our special guest speaker this Monday will be Locke Alderson. Every Monday, we have a guest speaker talking about networking, so you get a little bit different perspective on networking. On Tuesday, for LinkedIn Tuesdays, Kurt Vondermatter will be with us, LinkedIn from a recruiter's eye. Kurt is a retained recruiter. He spends about $10,000 or $15,000 a year with LinkedIn. So you'll get to see the recruiting package from his perspective, and it's always very, very interesting. And then on Wednesday, if you're interviewing Wednesdays, we'll be on session number 2, preparing for a specific interview and networking part 1. This session has been recorded. It will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel. Please follow us on Facebook. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. This session will be uploaded probably, well, it'll be late tonight before I get this one up on the YouTube channel, since I will be flying for the next couple hours. Next Thursday, Carol's going to take a week off. She's decided she wants a vacation. So next Thursday, Tony Bashera, he's the owner and president of the Babbage and Associates, will be with us, and he'll be sharing the top 10 big mistakes of resume writing. Always an interesting presentation. Tony sees hundreds of resumes on a daily basis. I mean, he has placed thousands and thousands of people over the years, so his perspective is pretty unique. On the YouTube channel, it looks something like this. Click on playlist where you see that green arrow, and then don't click on the video underneath it, but pick the subject you want, and then underneath where the red arrow is, where it says view full playlist, you can click on that, and that will then show you, the next slide, it'll show you all the different topics and the different dates you've done that we've uploaded a video on. If you're not seeing them in chronological order, click on the little sort button at the very top and get it sorted for you. If you're not receiving emails about our workshops and you'd like to join the Career USA mailing list, please do so. Just send an email to Career USA, the + subscribe at groups.io, and we will get you signed up to our mailing list. All right, it's time to give away a month unlimited use of jobscan.co. Please, what we need to do is everybody in the comment field put in a number between 1 and 100. We are playing the Price is Right rules, so it's the two closest numbers without going over. So two closest numbers without going over.
I'm watching, let's see, both Facebook Live, may just be you and me in there, and then I'm watching the chat, okay, in Zoom. Okay. All right, let me know when you want me to.
Okay, anybody else? Last chance. Put
Last
your number
chance.
in.
Last chance. I don't see anybody on Facebook Live entering numbers. Okay.
All right, so the winning number is
Winning number is
39. So whoever the closest two numbers.
And we do have Michael Schmidt with a 38. Michael, if you could send us in chat what your email is. Let me see the next one. Without going over 39, I saw 29. Scott, New Jersey.
Scott, New Jersey. Okay, so if you two of you will please put your email address in the chat window, so that way I'll copy that and I will get that sent off. But like I said, both of those will be giving, that'll be for the month of June. So you'll get an email at the very beginning of June.
Okay.
All right, what's our next slide?
Okay. I got Michael's email. It's Mr. New Jersey. Let's see.
I
Scott.
saw one of them pop in the chat.
Oh, there's the other one. I got it. Okay, and I'm
Okay.
also capturing it. Okay. Good. Next slide.
Next slide.
Hello. Well, it's deciding not to.
Oh, there we go. Just a reminder, Career DFW, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We have no full or part-time employees. Carol's a volunteer. All of the speakers you hear at all of our workshops, they don't get paid to do this. They are a volunteer because they're trying to help you land your next great opportunity. I'm a volunteer. I've never gotten paid to do any of this before. So Career DFW, we survive on donations. Please consider making a donation when you land next opportunity. It pays for Zoom, it pays for the web names, it pays for the web hostings, anything that we have to pay for that we can't get donated. So thank you very much for joining us today. Hopefully we'll see you later see you tomorrow or one day next week. And that email address is on the next slide again. If you'd like to join the Career USA mailing list, you're welcome to subscribe. So everybody have a great day. And Carol, thank you for standing in today while I wasn't online.
Right. No, happy to do it. And I hope you have a great weekend. And thanks everyone for joining in, and thanks for all the interaction and for those that submitted their resumes. Thank you. Have a great day. Save those emails.